Hi there Poké fans, I am your humblest Chozit fan and you're watching Pokemon Gym Challenges. And as you see, today we are starting our gym challenge. So I am adding this interlude over here because having finished all of the episodes, I have realized that this specific episode, the one where the whole Elite Four begins, is the shortest episode of them all. So I'm going to add my team analysis in this part of the game just before we start the battles against the Elite Four. And as you can see on the graphic I've put up on screen, that this is my team: Swampert, Ludicolo, Pelipper, Kingdra, Groudon and Kyogre. Now if you go to see in the red bar at the bottom, it has unresisted types, which is normal, grass, flying, dragon and fairy. And it has recommended types, all of those over there, but all of that doesn't really actually matter, because if you just look at the team overview, I have 2 weaknesses to electric, 3 weaknesses to grass and 2 weaknesses to flying, bug, dragon and fairy each. Now in my whole team, I don't have a single attack, as far as I can remember, that can actually deal with fairy type Pokemon. Luckily for me, in all of this game there aren't very many fairy type Pokemon to deal with, and in all of this Elite Four there aren't even one fairy type Pokemon to deal with. So that in and of itself is not that much of a weakness. As for the rest, I think this team is quite decent. As you can see, Marshtomp only has a grass weakness. Granted, it is a 4 times weakness. Ludicolo has a poison, a flying and a bug weakness. Pelipper has an electric and a rock weakness. The electric is a 4 times weakness, the rock is only a 2 times weakness. Kingdra has a dragon and a fairy weakness. Groudon has an electric, grass, fighting, bug and a fairy weakness. So Groudon is by far my weakest Pokemon, not only in terms of speed, but in terms of the sheer amount of weaknesses it has. But granted, even if it was a Sharpedo, it would still have these weaknesses. Now if I did it over, I might have chosen a different Pokemon. I don't know at the moment who I would choose, because Groudon serves a very specific function, and it is that he is completely immune to psychic type Pokemon. That is its exclusive function. Now, designing a team like that is not necessarily a good thing, but that is how I designed this team. And Kyogre, of course, only has an electric and a grass weakness. On the other side you will see all of the resistances, and I think my resistances outweigh by a long shot all of my weaknesses. Now leave a comment in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with this assessment. Now on with the game. And first up is this first trainer over here. All of these graphics look kind of awesome. It's much better graphics than it was in the original game. Now over here I'm still a bit stuck at all of the visuals, and obviously in order to maximize the visuals they hold onto you for the first couple of seconds. Now our first challenger is this Elite Four member Sydney, who specializes technically in dark types. So that means that my bug type attacks ought to do quite well. I don't have very many of them, but I do have at least one, and that is U-turn, which is on Pelipper, of course. But let's see what we can do. There are some other Pokemon that can be gotten to via the secondary typing. Over here, as you see, I went with Pelipper first. Unfortunately, U-turn is a physical attack, but let's see how much damage that does. And as you see, I only trained up to level 52. That is more or less the level at which I had all the attacks I wanted, more or less. Okay, so now we have to deal with Swagger. I hate Swagger as a strategy for the opponent. Okay, where's my full heal? There's my full heal. That gives my Kingdra full attack 6 times improved, or 6 base points improved, and it is unlikely to attack me. And I forgot I have Signal Beam on this Kingdra, so that is why I switched into Kingdra. And that is actually, as far as I can remember, only the second or third time I actually used Signal Beam. The Pelipper you have to do next, and the U-turn ought to do a much more damage this time, because the next opponent is a Grass and a Dark type. Both of them are weak to Bug type attacks, which means that my U-turn ought to do 4 times as much damage to Shiftry than it otherwise would. But instead I decided to go with Fly, and I get flinched, of course. The Leaf Blade misses me since I was up in the sky, and Fly takes out Shiftry in a single attack. So quite evidently I didn't need the 4 times advantage. And from here on end I'm going to try and attack Sydney on all of his secondary weaknesses, even though I have 2 Pokemon that can deal with the primary weakness. Guess what I'm going to do over here. I'll give you a single guess. If any of you guessed Thunder, then you are one smart viewer. That takes care of Sharpedo, and I didn't even suffer recoil damage. Or not recoil damage, rough skin damage. Now for a second there I missed who was going to be next, and technically I should have disabled switch mode at this stage, but since I started it in the first series, in the Grass type series, I may as well keep it up. So that's what I'm doing this time. Spiky Shield, that's a problem for me. At least I didn't damage myself on that Spiky Shield. If I did a physical attack I might have damaged myself. But as you saw, Focus Blast is since it's a fighting type attack, it is quite effective against Dark type Pokemon. I completely forgot about the secondary weakness of Dark type Pokemon. They are weak to Bug type attacks and fighting type attacks. And over here, as you see, I'm using Superpower against Absol. It's probably overkill, but I have Superpower, so I may as well use it. And that takes care of Sydney. Now I debated for quite a while with myself whether or not I should end this episode over here and do one Elite Four member per episode, and thereby drag out the episodes. But I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and do 2 or 3 battles per episode, which means if I manage to do 3 in this episode, I'll only have the 4th member left in the next episode, as well as the Champions battle. But I think I'm going to go with 2 battles in this episode. So next up is Glacier, I think. Oh, maybe it's not Glacier. This is a flowery thing. some sort of ghost type specialist, not an ice type specialist. This is also fairly good visuals. Well, I am impressed with it. So okay, I missed her name. But let's switch out my Pokemon because now I know who I'm fighting. Who should be next? I think Ludicolo is probably the best. Maybe not. Yeah, I think Crawdaunt might be better. I think she specializes in ghost type Pokemon. Now, I'm not all that sure that Crawdaunt is immune to ghost type attacks. He's definitely immune to psychic type attacks. Okay, let's see your name. Why are you dancing like that? She specializes in ghost type attacks. Oh, come on, stop with the bloody dancing and let's just get on with the battle. Phoebe. That is a bloody name. Phoebe is battling me and she starts off with the Dusclops. Now, if Dusclops outspeeds me and he uses a Giga Drain, I'm screwed. But if I outspeed, my Crunch ought to take him out in a single attack. Note I said ought to, and it does. Cool. So that's 1 for 1. Okay, Dusknoir is next. I think I'm going to stay in with Crawdaunt, seeing as he is actually my weakest Pokemon. He does have the best chance in this situation, but he is my weakest link in my squad. So if he goes out, then that's that. This time my Crunch didn't quite take out Dusknoir in a single attack, so I've been weakened. Okay, I don't know how I predicted that, but Dusknoir does a full restore, so I used the Crab Hammer, which is a water type attack, and Dusknoir is a ghost ground type if I remember correctly. That did quite a significant amount of damage. Okay, I switched on the experience share so that everyone can get some experience with this battling, and that will also help me increase in experience for the battles to come. Now, I don't know if I should switch. I think I'm going to switch, but the next Pokemon doesn't actually have a weakness in this generation. Well, technically it does, but I don't have a Pokemon that can exploit that weakness, and that weakness is Fairy types. That is the only thing that can hit Sableye for super effective damage. Okay, so obviously I flinched, so I'm just hitting Sableye with the strongest attack I have and stab, and fortunately that does enough damage. Now, Sableye isn't the highest in terms of defensive stats as far as I can remember, but it is still a Pokemon to contend with. It's a very good Pokemon for someone who is specializing in ghost type Pokemon. Okay, so now it's Bennett. Let's see who outspeeds. Okay, Bennett outspeeds me and it does a Shadow Ball. It doesn't do that much damage, even though it is a critical hit. And I take it out in a single attack. Corphish is actually coming into its own in this specific battle. Another Bennett. I'm going to risk staying in. If this Bandit has a magical leaf, I am done for. It uses Will-O-Wisp. That is bad for me because that'll mean that my crunch doesn't hit as hard, but hopefully it still does enough. Okay, it just doesn't do enough. Crap. Okay, I think I'll heal. So we both do the same thing. If I didn't heal over here, then the burn would have taken me out, because it would have taken another 2 attacks to take out this Bandit. Another bloody Will-O-Wisp. What is it with you and bloody status conditions? Okay, let's do another spite. You bastard. So Crunch loses some PP, and if it only had 2 or 3 PP left and it spiked it, I wouldn't have been able to use Crunch. So that is a bastard move. But what do you expect of ghosts? I wonder if that should actually be a dark type attack, because it's a spiteful move which dark types would tend to do. Okay, so we've defeated Phoebe, and in the next episode we are going to take on the next 2 league champions. So that is going to be the end of this episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and sharing to your friends. Thank you and goodbye.